welcome to our virtual yoga class. We'll begin class by laying on our backs. So take a moment to adjust, lengthening your legs out in front, dropping your back on the mat. And then palms can either frame your hips facing towards the ceiling, or if you prefer, you can rest your hands on your chest, on your belly. If you do that, you'll notice that rise and fall of your breath will be more noticeable. Inhale here and exhale, sigh it out. It takes quite a bit of concentration to shift your focus, your breath, your body. So right now we're practicing, we're deepening our awareness. You can inhale here, you can exhale, sigh it out. And then as you sigh out, notice that you're releasing tension, physical, mental, emotional tension from a week ago or earlier in the day. That's when you start to really build that connection, that physical, mental, emotional connection. And then a body scan here. Notice the back of your neck, shoulders, the length of your arms, wherever your hands are right now. Notice the effect on your body as your belly expands on that inhale. And then scan down the length of your spine to your hips, down to your ankles and toes. We'll remain here about 3 to 5 breaths. Shift your attention to your breath. If you have trouble concentrating, just lengthen your inhale and exhale a little longer than you're accustomed to. Generous breath. One more intentional breath here. We'll remain laying on our backs. Let's invite a gentle stretch throughout the body by lifting our arms up overhead, pointing our toes, lifting our abdomen up towards the ceiling, interlacing your fingers. You can stretch throughout the shoulders, the length of the arms, the spine. You can point your toes, stretching around the tops of the feet and ankles. Invite a generous breath, belly expands. And then release your hands. We're going to bend both knees so both feet float off the floor. Take your hands to your knees, and then one round, lift your forehead up towards your knees, chin towards chest, and hold. Elbows remain close to your thighs. Hold here. And now drop your head back, drop your left leg on the floor, and then lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Now interlace your fingers right behind your knee. We're going to focus here on our toes and ankles, tops of the feet, heels. You can rotate that foot clockwise and also counterclockwise. Try both directions here. We tend to not pay attention to our toes and heels and the arches of our feet. Take a moment here to open up. You can spread your toes. And then after a few moments here, you can Lengthen your leg and then bring your leg closer towards you. Most of that attention should be around your hamstring, but you're influencing and opening here around the lower back and hips and glutes. Flex that left foot towards the front of the room. Now you can have a little bend to that right knee, or you can extend your leg as much as you can. Deep belly breath. You're noticing your boundary, breathing into that boundary. And then increasing that flexibility. It can be very subtle. Three breaths here. Inhaling here, exhaling, and then slowly release your heel back down towards the floor. Bend both knees, feet float off the floor, hands towards knees, around your spine, forehead towards your knee, chin towards your chest. Drop your head back. Now drop your right leg on the floor. You can flex that heel so it faces the front of the room. It's going to gently activate around the core. And now lift your left leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers behind that left knee. Rotate your ankle clockwise and counterclockwise. Focus on your toes. You can spread your toes here. Press your heel up towards the ceiling. Get that full rotation here. You can extend your leg as much as you can now. You can focus on your hamstrings. You can invite a little bend to your knee. Focus on that boundary. Increase your flexibility. So that boundary is that point where you just naturally stop. And then you're using your breath to increase your awareness. Inhale and exhale. Notice that natural little boundary where you stop in that flexibility, and see if you can bring your leg or stretch your leg a little bit more. You can bring your leg closer towards you or extend your leg to intensify that stretch around the hamstrings. 3 more breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Release. Bend both knees. Both feet float off the floor. Hands towards knees. Round your spine and fold the chin towards chest. Elbows close to your thighs. And then drop your head back. Lengthen both legs up towards the ceiling. Hold here. Now start to press your heels up towards the ceiling. That means that your toes will be pointing downwards towards you, or at least reaching towards your direction here. Press your heels up. You're stretching throughout the calves. And now palms on the floor, core workout, or also activating the glutes and the quads. Slowly release your legs. Find a point to hover and hold. Take a breath. 2 breaths. And then release your heels on the floor. Bend both knees, hands towards knees. Rock to the left and to the right. I'm going to massage around that lower back. And then for a few breath cycles, we're going to release into a butterfly pose. Both soles of the feet touch. Hands can frame your hips. You can rest your hands on your belly and chest. Or you can lift your arms up overhead, backs of the hands on the floor. So find any position here with your hands for this butterfly pose. So we'll take a restorative pose before we move into a more active portion of the class. It's a pose for us to soften, to let go, to receive, to gently open up the hips, soften the body. You have access to your full diaphragm breathing. part of our practice is a purposeful intention of inviting a holistic yoga practice. And our breath is that vehicle in which we connect our emotional, mental, emotional bodies. So as you're here, invite that full breath. Belly fully expand, the exhale, release. Now when we're busy throughout our days, we tend to not take full breaths. Right now is your opportunity to practice that deep breathing. And it's that same deep breath that you can return to throughout your day. Either open mouth exhale, or you can exhale side out. Whatever supports your body at this moment. Shift your attention back to your breath. If you ever have trouble concentrating on your breath, increase the length of your inhale and exhale. It can be subtle. Deep, full belly breath. About 2 more deep, full belly breaths. Now, it is a practice to maintain deep, long breaths over a period of time. So it's all right to start shifting back to your natural breath. Soften neck, down the spine, hips. Imagine your knees melting further towards the floor. Soles of the feet softly touch, hips open. Hands on your belly and chest, or backs of the hands on the floor, framing your hips, or your arms can be lifted overhead, elbows bent, backs of the hands on the floor. Intentional breath cycle here. Ribcage, belly expands. Exhale, release, both knees come together, feet float off the floor. Once more, we rock to the left and to the right. Massage your lower back, your mid back. And then we'll shift out of this position. Let's transition into our tabletop. Double checking our hands are right beneath our shoulders and knees are hips width distance apart. We're going to inhale up into our cat and cow poses. You're rounding your spine, tucking your chin towards your chest, separating your shoulder blades in your cat pose, tops of the feet on the floor, or you can also curl your toes so your toes are on the floor. Inhale up, you lift your tailbone. There's a full extension throughout the spine, chest opens, and your cow pose. To the best of your ability, sync up your breath, exhaling into a cat pose and inhaling into a cow pose. However, if you're in cow pose, for example, you want to remain there an extra breath because you're exploring some opening perhaps around the lower back. Remain there. You can inhale, cow pose. You can exhale, cow pose. Remain there. Same thing with your cat pose. You're exhaling into a cat pose, but if you feel like you need to remain there an extra breath to explore some sensation in your body, go ahead and do that. You're not doing it incorrectly. It's just when you're creating a more regular flow with faster movements, it's more common to breathe with each pose, with each shift in the pose as well. Wherever you're at, about 2 more breath cycles. You'll start to bring your spine back to neutral. Right hand on the floor, lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. We want to open up our side body, lengthen throughout the arm. We're opening throughout the left shoulder as well. Release your hand, opposite side, lift right arm up towards the ceiling, hold. And release your hand back down towards the floor. We're gonna open up our hips, lifting our left leg, bending our knees, stacking our hips. Most of that stretch is in the quads and hips and glutes here. Hold. And now round your spine, knee towards chest. Chin towards chest. One more time. Lengthen your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Round your spine, knee and chin towards chest. You're rounding your spine, pressing through your palms. And now drop your knee on the floor. Opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Round your spine, knee and chin towards chest. You round your spine here. Second round, lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Round your spine. Chin towards chest. And now release your knee onto the floor. We'll step back into a child's pose. Knees close together or knees towards the edges of your mat. 5 breaths. Lengthen the duration of your inhale and exhale. One more breath here. You'll start to inch that left hand towards the right corner of your mat. Hold here. Your elbow floats off the floor. And then release. Right hand inches towards the left corner of your mat. Hold. And now release. Round both hands on the floor. We'll lift up into our downward facing dog. Take our gaze right between our hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Now in that forward fold, hands to shins. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. We're going to sweep our arms up overhead. We'll prepare here for sun salutations. Hands meet in front of our heart center. Draw your shoulders down. Intentional breath. Let's inhale here. Exhale, grounding through our feet, noticing the length of our spine. Shoulders are drawn down, chin is neutral. Now your eyes can be closed or they can be open. If they're open, I recommend looking at one point across the floor or room. Settle into your breath. So as we move through these sun salutations, let this be an expression of where you are right now. If you need to move a little quicker or slower, go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and cue. Settle into your breath to the best of your abilities. Sync up your breath with each of the poses. However, don't stress out about it if you're unsure. Release your hands. Inhale. We lift our arms up overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down. Hands to shins. You inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. You step back into that plank pose. Inhaling as you step back, and then exhaling as you release down towards the floor. Hands framing your chest, elbows moving close to your torso as you lift up. Inhale, upward facing dog, and then shift into your down dog. Taking one breath there. or 2 breaths, or 3. You take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, sweep your arms up overhead. You're grounding through your heels, hands lift up. Notice your left hand touch your right palm touch your left palm. Appreciating this moment, appreciating our breath, and then welcoming our experience through our breath. Second sun salutation, arms lift, exhale, bend your knees. Fold down, forward fold, inhale, halfway up, shoulders away from ears. Exhale, fold down, inhale, step back. Plank pose, exhale, release down towards the floor. Extend throughout the spine here in that upward facing dog, being gentle throughout the back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hold your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, you're pressing through your palms, chest moves towards your thighs. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, sweep your arms up overhead. Noticing both palms come to touch. Welcome your breath. Third round, arms lift. Exhale, fold down. Soften your neck there. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Elbows remain close to your torso. Extend through your spine, upward facing dog. And then we meet at our downward facing dog. Once in your down dog, lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips to the left. And now left knee inches towards that left elbow, hover here. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Left knee towards that right elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Invite a generous breath. And now lift your right leg, bend your right knee, stack your hips. Generous breath here, right knee towards that right elbow. Hover, pressing through your palms, lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Generous breath. Knee towards your left elbow. Hover here. Lots of full body strength here. Now lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. If you want a more active yoga class, remain in your downward facing dog. If you want a more restful pose, release down to your child's pose. 3 to 5 breaths here. You don't necessarily have to count the breath. It's an estimate. Check in and see where your breath is right now. How can your breath inform your flexibility, strength, and balance? You can inhale here and exhale at any time. Invite an intentional breath here. Exhale. Release. So you can release your child's pose. We'll lift up into our downward facing dog. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Now remain here. We're going to roll up slowly. Head comes up last. So your arms dangle, torsos relax. You're distributing your weight from your heels, edges of your feet, slowly shifting into a mountain pose. We're going to take our hands to frame our hips. I want you to imagine that if I try to move you, it'd be difficult to do so because you are so grounded here. That means your core is active and your feet are rooted on the ground. We're gonna take a breath here for the day we've had so far, practicing that stillness. We'll take a breath for this moment. And then we'll take a breath for the rest of our day. Exhale, sigh it out. If your eyes are closed, open your eyes. We'll shift into a warrior one, taking our right leg back. Our right foot is in a diagonal, and our left knee is in a 90-degree angle. Now notice your hips. Hips are square towards the front. Inhale, lift your arm. We're gonna lift our gaze. There's a little arch to our spine. We're lifting our chin. Hold here. Keep a bend to that left knee. Now we're breathing here from our heels to the crown of our head. Imagine a breath, inhaling from the heels, the breath traveling up the spine and up the crown of the head. Arms radiate, they're open. Your legs are these scissors attempting to close, but they can't. That means your glutes and your quads are active. You can start to release your hands, cup your forearms with your hands, or shift into a reverse prayer with both palms touching. You can start to lengthen that left knee. Drop your chest so it's parallel to the floor. Most of your attention should start noticing the stretch anywhere from the lower back, left glute, left hamstring, left hip. Hold here. Inhale. And now exhale, drop your hands onto the floor. Drop your belly towards your thigh, relax your neck. You can have a little bend to that left knee, or you can extend that leg as much as you can. 5 breaths, breathing to your hip, hamstrings, lower back. Keep that right heel grounded on the floor. Feel free to hear your inhale, hear your exhale. So now pivot that right foot so your right toes face the front of the room. Heel is off the floor. Place that right hand directly beneath your shoulder. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. I'm pressing through that left heel to lift that left hip. Optional if you want to release your knee, that right knee on the floor. Lots of full body strength here. Generous breath. Release your hand down towards the floor. Step back, plank pose. Hands beneath your shoulders. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Planting firmly through your palms here. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. And then slowly roll up to standing. You're grounding through your heels. This is a practice of presence. You also notice a physical sensation of letting go. We can apply that to mentally and emotionally letting go. Hands frame our hips. We welcome 3 breaths here. Eyes opened or closed. Your choice if you prefer to sigh it out. Then after those 3 breath cycles, we'll shift into our warrior one. This time our right foot steps forward, and then our left leg steps back, left foot in a diagonal, 90-degree bend to your knee. Sometimes we have a tendency to open up our hips to the best of your ability. Square your hips towards the front. That means that left heel is anchored. Lift your arms. And gently lift your gaze, gently lift your chin. Practice 1 breath. Inhaling, breathing from the heels up the spine to the crown of the head. Activate glutes and quads. Release your hands. Start to cup your forearms with your hands or reverse prayer, both palms touching, lifting your hands towards your mid-back. Lengthen that right knee, drop your chest so it's parallel to the floor and hold. Core strength here, you're opening that right hip, right glute. Drop your belly all the way down towards your thigh, drop your hands on the floor. Relax your neck here, don't crane up the neck. Inhale and exhale. Feel free to hear your inhale, hear your exhale. Now start to pivot that left foot, heels off the floor. Plant that left hand beneath your shoulder. And now lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. I'm pressing through that right heel to get some more lift on that right hip. Optional if you want to release your left knee on the floor. Take your gaze up. I'm reaching my arm up as high as I can. And now release that hand on the floor. Step your legs back. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. In that down dog, lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Left knee towards that left elbow, hover here. And now lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Left knee towards that right elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor, and now opposite side, take a generous breath, lift your right leg, bend your right knee, stack your hips. Right knee towards that right elbow. Now lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Right knee towards your left elbow. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And now release your foot back down towards the floor. Release down into a child's pose. Or if you want a more active class, remain in a downward facing dog. Activate your breath here. Invite a full belly breath. How does your breath inform you as you're working on your strength, flexibility, and balance? Notice how your breath assists you in each pose, noticing what requires effort and what requires ease. Notice that paradox. Two more breaths here. Deep belly breath, ribcage expands. And then exhale. Release the pose. Ground your hands right beneath your shoulders. Knees, hips width distance apart. Lift your left leg here. We're going to come into balance. Lift that right arm up towards the ceiling. So imagine there's a cord lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Your core is active, glutes and quads as well. Open up your chest. Now you can either gaze forward or take your gaze down towards the floor. Hold. Right hand on the floor, bend that left knee, stack your hips. One more round on this side, extend your left leg, lift that right arm. Effort and ease. What in this pose requires effort? What requires ease? Release your hand, bend your knee, stack your hips. Release your foot down toward, or your knee down towards the floor. Let's take a cow and cat pose. Let's protect our spine. And now opposite side, lift that right leg. Lift your left arm. Both arm or leg in parallel to the floor. Release your hand, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your knee down towards, or actually, second round, lift that right leg, lift your left arm. Release your hand on the floor. Release your knee. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. And now release the pose. We'll shift into a cross-legged position. Any stretches here throughout the arms. We'll lift our arms up, palms up. Now round your spine, tuck your chin towards your chest. Release your hands. Inhale, arms lift up. Palms up. Release your hands right behind your head. Elbows press towards the back. They tend to collapse forward. And a twist towards the left and towards the right. One more time. And then after those 2 times, release. Drop your chin towards your chest. And then roll your head from one shoulder to the next, either half a circle or a full circle. You want to open up throughout the neck, especially the back of the neck and shoulders that tend to carry a lot of stress and tension. And what I mean by that is that most of the day we move throughout our day not being very conscious about our bodies. When we're stressed or busy, we start to compensate or start to compromise our bodies. For example, crunching up our shoulders closer to our ears or rounding our spine. So as you're with these neck rolls, notice any spots that feel tense in the sides of the neck, but also the upper back and mid-back. Notice how when you stretch and open up throughout the neck, sides of the neck, you're also affecting the upper back, shoulders, maybe even the mid-back as well. And if you prefer to work in some meditation, by all means, bring your head to neutral and breathe. Five more breaths here. Start to bring your head back to a neutral position. 3 meditative breaths here, spine long, shoulders drawn down. Be active in your body, aware of your inhale and exhale. Optional inhale here, exhale, side out. Mental alertness and focus. Notice your 3rd breath cycle. Exhale, release, eyes open if they were closed. Bring your arms out, your legs. Bring your legs out to a V. You have a little bend to your knees. You're gonna twist towards the right. You can allow that little micro bend to that knee. And then start to fold down. You're dropping your belly towards your thigh. Hands can reach thighs, shins, or toes. 3 breath cycles here. One more breath. And now release. From here, twist towards the left. A little bend to your knee, fold down. About 3 breaths. Notice your boundary, breathe into your boundary. Inhale here. Exhale. Release. Now start to fold over. A little bend to your knees. Inch your hands forward. Rock your belly towards the mat. Extend throughout the spine. Inhale. And then exhale, release. We'll start to bring both legs back together. Arms out, palms up towards the ceiling, core workup. Chin towards chest, have your glutes and quads are activated, lots of core strength here. Any hovering is fine. Feet can remain on the floor or you can lift your feet. And now drop your head all the way back. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Bend both knees. Massage your lower back. Rocking to the left, to the right. And now start to drop both feet on the floor. Rest your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Weave your left hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your thigh. Either remaining here or bringing your thigh closer towards your belly or chest. Most of your attention is on that left hip. One more breath. And then release. Opposite side, right ankle, rest on top of that left thigh. Leave your right hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your thigh. Hold. Most of your attention should be in that right hip. Inhale here. Exhale. Release the pose. Start to grab your feet with your hands. Lengthen both legs. Bend one knee. Bend both knees. Take that final stretch you need here. From the ankles to the hamstrings, behind your knees, hips, lower back, even your mid back. Take a few moments here. And then start to release your legs back down towards the floor. We'll prepare for our final resting pose or Shavasana. Palms facing up towards the ceiling, legs long. This is the pose we hold the longest in yoga. There's a lot of wisdom in the pose. The wisdom of stillness and not the doing anything. Allowing our bodies to soften. We have to practice physically letting go. Noticing how that applies to our mental bodies and emotional bodies. The only thing to be purposeful about in this pose is to soften, to relax. Notice the muscles around your forehead and jaw, soften them, even if you're imagining that softening. Your neck and your shoulders. Down the length of your arms to your wrists, palms, and fingertips. Perhaps imagining your fingertips soften even further towards the floor. And then down the length of the spine, releasing the upper back, mid back, and lower back. Softening the hips, behind the knees, down to your ankles and toes. Observing any thoughts and any sensations without judgment, just noticing. We'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. You can restore some movement to your fingertips and your toes. You have the option of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, pointing your toes. And or you can turn your body to your side, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. Once again, return to your generous and leisurely breath. And then after another breath or two, start to make your way up to your seat. Spine long, shoulders relaxed, chin neutral, eyes open or closed. We'll take a moment to appreciate our breath. Noticing by appreciating our breath, we welcome our experience. In gratitude, let's take our hands to our heart center. Intentional inhale here. And intentional exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.